especially on these ICD inductees who will receive the honor of fellowship today. It is our prayer that the commitment they have shown to excellence through their service to their profession, their communities, their families, and others in need will only increase as they become part of our fellowship. Now, in all we do, we give you the honor and the glory. Amen.
Please be seated. On behalf of the officers and regents of the USA section of the International College of Dentists, I extend to the fellows, fellows-elect, fellows' families, international friends, and guests a most hearty welcome to the Convocation. Thank you for attending this afternoon and as we honor those who are being inducted into the college. Now it is my pleasure to introduce the president of the USA section, Dr. Risa Martin from Lake Hills, Texas. She will introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, Dan. It is my great pleasure and honor to introduce our speaker, Dr. Richard M. Smith. Dr. Smith is a graduate of the University of Texas Dental Branch here in Houston. He's practiced general dentistry in Amarillo, Texas for 49 years, and he's been a leader in organized dentistry most of his career. He served as the president of the Panhandle District Dental Society, the president of the Texas Dental Association, and was the Texas Dental Association's treasurer for 9 years. He has been active in the ADA, serving as a delegate and chairing several committees. He continues to serve on the Texas Dental Association's Smile Foundation and the Texas Mission of Mercy, Incorporated. Dick became an ICD Fellow in 1995 and then went on to hold many leadership positions in the USA section. He served as president of the ICD Texas chapter. He began District 15's deputy regent and then served as District 15's regent for 4 years. In 2008, he was elected to the office of treasurer of the USA section, and he continued in that role until 2019. Dick has also been active in the college level. He was selected as the college treasurer in 2015 and served in that capacity until he was chosen as president-elect in 2018. He has served as the president of the college since November of 2021. Dick has received the Texas Dental Association's Distinguished Service Award, the Texas Dental Association's President's Award 3 times, the Outstanding Alumnus Award, and the Service to Dentistry Award from the University of Texas Dental Branch Alumni Association. In 2007, he was awarded the Texas Dental Association's Gold Medal of Distinguished Service. He was selected as the Texas Dentist of the Year in 2008. And most recently, Dick was honored by the college when he was awarded Master Fellowship in 2021. That same year, he was designated Treasurer Emeritus by the USA section. Clearly, our speaker today is an inspiring example of a leader in every sense of the word. And on a personal note, Dick has been a professional inspiration to me for many decades. So when it came time to choose a speaker for today, there was, in my mind, no other choice. Please welcome my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Dick Smith.
Well, after that introduction, I guess the question is, what have you done lately? I'm going to break from my speech just a little bit to say that association with the college is one of the greatest boons that will ever come into your life. You will meet people that are too wonderful to talk about. And I'll go into that in more detail. I bring you greetings from the Global International Office, the International Council, and the officers. I would like to bring special greetings to the new fellows-elect. You are about to be inducted into fellowship in this college. This is a great honor and should give you pride that you've been recognized by your peers for your services to our profession. And remember, the people who elected you know you the best. They even know your warts. And they still thought you were pretty good folk. Whether it is for leadership, education, research, or humanitarian service, you have made a contribution. By induction, you will become a fellow that will let you associate with an organization where you will meet some of the finest people you will ever meet. Savor the moment. Enjoy the recognition. And remember, smile for all the photos. And if you can't remember anything else, just say ICD and you'll smile really nicely. But as you have heard many times, this is just the beginning of your journey. Fellowship is more than the photos that will be taken today. It's more than the pin you'll receive and the plaque that will adorn your wall. You were selected because of what you have done and what you will do in the future. The college is made of dentists who are involved and have made a difference. You will soon be part of that group. I'm going to quote from a friend of mine who is here on the podium today. In his address at this Convocation a few years ago, he said something that I think is the basic foundation of the college. If service is beneath you, leadership is beyond you. And that is too true. I'm positive that all of you know that recognition is nice, but service, in whatever way, brings the gratification of giving back for the many blessings you have received. In our modern world, it is sometimes difficult to deal with the distractions, the background noise, and the demands of our time. Often there seems to be no time to pause and reflect on what is happening in our lives. It requires extra effort to become involved in another organization. But those of you here today have made that extra effort. That was recognized by others. You overcame the distractions, noise, demands on your time to do something extra for our profession and the patients we treat. Not only will the new fellows with whom you will have been inducted become your friends, you will have the global community of fellows to get to know. The college opens doors around the world to interact with other professionals and gives you the opportunity to become part of that global community. As I look back on, by the way, 50 years of practice, some of the most meaningful memories I have involve the ICD. One of the great joys that my wife and I have had is meeting people around the world we would have never had the opportunity to meet if it wasn't for the college. And because this is an international group, the chance to meet new friends from all over the globe is a great gift. What you will learn is that no matter what country or culture a fellow is from, we all have the same problems, the same joys, the same connection, our profession. You will learn that our profession is the common denominator we all share. And that profession has given us a precious gift, the trust the patients place in us when we treat them. Above all else, we are charged with placing the patient's welfare above our own and treat with care and compassion. This is a sober responsibility to which we are held. Because you are here today, I know you understand this. The college around the world is a collection of dentists who lead by doing what is right. They lead by making breakthroughs in research. They lead by distinguished educational careers at dental schools, training the next generation of dentists. They lead by organizing and participating in missions on a global basis to treat those less fortunate. My question to you, what will you do in the future to carry on this tradition? That is a question that will be answered in the future, a future that will be influenced by those of you being inducted today. The college is stronger every time we have an induction ceremony because the underlying strength of the college is the next generation that will perpetuate the values and traditions. As our world is changing, the way we practice is changing. The way we conduct business is changing. One way to establish a firm base is with other professionals in the college. As you have no doubt heard, perhaps more than once, the college is now in 125 countries. We are in our second 100 years of existence. It is up to all of us to make sure that the college reaches the third 100 years. We can only do that by having shared values that we can advance. With your help, I'm sure that will happen. And remember, smile for those pictures, because the induction will always be in your memory as one of the better days of your life. Thank you and congratulations. Stay up here. Ominous words.
Dick, I'd like to thank you so much for honoring us as our speaker today, and I would like to present you with this small token of our appreciation from the USA section of the International College of Dentists. Okay, now, stay ready.
Oh, yes.
At this time, Dr. Smith and I would like to invite Dr. Xin-Xin Liu as an ICD Fellow and an International Counselor from China to join us here on stage. Dr. Liu?
Maybe he didn't
No?
get out of China.
Oh my, this is sad. I don't know. Well, Dr. Liu lives and practices in Taipei, Taiwan, and he was inducted into ICD in 2007 and served as Section 12 Registrar from 2009 to 2020. He has been the International Counselor since 2021, and he is the CEO of the Graduate Institute of Clinical Dentistry of the National Taiwan University. And his special interest is economic engineering in dentistry. We wanted to recognize Dr. Liu today as he is the first fellow in college history to reach the platinum level in philanthropy. Dr. Liu recently donated $10,000 US per month for 1 year to support the worldwide college's many programs and projects. Would you please join me in showing our appreciation for Dr. Liu?
Ladies and gentlemen, I will now ask the chair of the USA Section Awards Committee, past president and master fellow Leighton A. Ware, to come to the podium to introduce and recognize 4 special awardees and 4 new master fellows. Dr. Ware.
Thank you. Good afternoon. You know, I made a promise this weekend, and I'm getting ready to break it, but I promised Dr. Wagner that I wouldn't go off script. So here I go. Probably be my, this may be the last time they let me up here. All of you know that we Texans like to brag a little bit. It's in our DNA. And I just wanted to point out that this is a very historic moment in Texas history for the first time ever, and I'm sure it'll be the last time, here meeting in Houston, we have Richard Smith, the president of the college, Risa Martin, the president of the ICD section, and we have Bob Frazier, president of the ICD Foundation. All of them Texans, all of them educated in Texas schools. And I've arranged a little musical tribute for them. Hit it, T-Bob. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that T. Bob Davis is from Dallas, Texas. As a reminder, we recognize our 2020 and 2021 distinguished humanitarians at the Fellowship Orientation Program last night. Dr. T. Bob Davis, who's playing the piano today, was our 2020 distinguished humanitarian, and Dr. and Ms. Charles Simons, who sponsored the reception yesterday, were our 2021 awardees. Congratulations again to these very deserving individuals. The awardees I will be introducing next will not be speaking in order to finish the convocation in time for you to make tonight's function on time. But if they did speak, I think these are a few things they would like to tell you. I believe they would like to thank the ICD and the individuals who nominated them for their award. I know they would like to thank their families for allowing them to take the time to serve, and to thank their colleagues for their support. I believe all would tell you that they have received far more from serving than they would ever have imagined, and that the friends they have made while volunteering their time may be their greatest award of all. I will now introduce the Outstanding Dental Leader awardees. Dr. Raymond Gist, please rise and come forward. Madam President, it's my pleasure to present to you for our Outstanding Dental Leader for 2020, Dr. Raymond F. Gist. Dr. Gist received his dental degree from the University of Michigan and practices general dentistry in Flint, Michigan. He served in a variety of leadership roles throughout his career. He was president of both the Michigan Dental Association and the Genesee District Dental Society and the University of Michigan Club of Greater Flint. He was a delegate to the ADA House of Delegates, served on ADA committees, and completed a 4-year term as ADA trustee from the 9th District. He was then elected and served as ADA's president-elect and ultimately as ADA president from 2020 to 2021. His numerous awards and honors include the Michigan Dental Association's highest honor, the John G. Nolan Meritorious Award, the San Fernando Valley Dental Society Distinguished Service Award, the Genesee Health Plan Volunteer Recognition Award, the Award of Excellence from the Genesee District Library, the State of Michigan Legislative Tribute, and the Michigan Dental Association Public Relations Award. Clearly, Dr. Gist is a highly respected leader, some would say a legend in the world of dentistry, and it is with great pride that we present him with this award. Dean John Williams, please come forward. Madam President, it's my pleasure to present to you our outstanding dental leader for 2021, John N. Williams. John Williams earned his DMD and MBA degrees from the University of Louisville. His passion for dental education is apparent by his career path. After serving as Associate Dean at Louisville's School of Dentistry for more than 7 years, he went on to lead that school as its dean for another 6 years. He then transitioned to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill School of Dentistry and served as its dean for 5 years. From 2010 to 2019, Dr. Williams served as dean of the University of Indiana School of Dentistry and is awarded Dean Emeritus status. From 2019 to 2020, he returned to his undergraduate alma mater, Transylvania University in Lexington, Kentucky, as that university's president. Additionally, he served a 3-year term as vice president of the American Dental Association Council of Deans and was also a commissioner and then chair of the Commissioner on Dental Accreditation. Dr. Williams and his wife Lucy were the 2009 recipients of individual Morrison medallions from Transylvania University for their commitment to advancing liberal arts education. In 2019, he received the IU President's Medal for Excellence in recognition of his years of leadership and efforts on behalf of Indiana. For his extraordinary service to the profession of dentistry, we're pleased to honor him today. Dr. Brent Holman, please rise and come forward. Madam President, it's my pleasure to present to you our 2022 Outstanding Dental Leader, Dr. Brent L. Holman. Dr. Holman received his DDS from the Nebraska College of Dentistry and received a Master of Science in Dentistry and Pediatric Dentistry from Baylor College of Dentistry. He practiced pediatric dentistry in Fargo for over 40 years. He has held numerous leadership positions in organized dentistry, among them President of North Dakota Southeast District Dental Society, President, Trustee, and Executive Director of the North Dakota Dental Association, President and founding board member of the Red River Valley Dental Access Project, and board member and consultant for the North Dakota Dental Foundation. He was the founder of North Dakota Mission of Mercy Project. He's received many, many awards for his leadership in humanitarian activities, including the ADA Bud Tarson Access to Care Award, the NDDA Outstanding Achievement Award, and the Dakota Medical Foundation Star Collaboration Award. In short, Dr. Holman has led a life of dedicated service to others, and we recognize him here today for founding, coordinating, and participating in a multitude of altruistic service and leadership endeavors. Congratulations, Dr. Holman. Dr. Richard Gallione, please rise and come forward. This is no easy task for Richard, I tell you, so take your time. Emeritus awards are conferred upon individuals who during their tenure contributed to the progress and achievement of the USA section in a very special way. The emeritus designation is awarded to recognize performance and contributions above normal expectations and is restricted to living individuals who have retired from their position with ICD. Rich was editor of the Pennsylvania Dental Journal for many years and won the prestigious William Guys Award in 2002. He also served as president of the American Association of Dental Editors. Dr. Gallione served as the USA section editor from 2004 to 2016, and then again from 2018 to 2019, a total of 15 years. For years, he also edited the Section 3 award-winning ICD newsletter, The College Call. In addition, he served as chair of the Communications Committee, chair of the Journalism Awards Committee, and was a member of both the Strategic Planning Committee and the Executive Committee. I can recall multiple times when someone was needed to take on a task nobody really wanted to do. Invariably, he would raise his hand and volunteer to take on the assignment. He also was a trustee of the USA Section Foundation and elected as its secretary. I was fortunate to have served with him the entire time, and I witnessed firsthand the time and passion he contributed in furthering our mission. For his many years of outstanding service to the section, the Board of Regents voted unanimously to confer upon him the title of Editor Emeritus. Congratulations, Richard. Master Fellowship is given to an ICD Fellow who has rendered extraordinarily conspicuous and outstanding service to the college. The awarding of Master Fellowship is a rare distinction which is only awarded to active or life fellows with the approval of the International Council. There are presently 17 living Master Fellows in the USA section. Would the 4 Master Fellow recipients please rise and come forward? Mr. President, Master Fellow Margot Collada Norton was approved by the International Council in 2020. Dr. Collada Norton served in many leadership positions before and after being inducted into the International College of Dentists, and her 25-year ICD career has been an inspiration to many. She served as the Washington, D.C. Deputy Regent and then was elected Vice Regent for District 4. After serving a full 4-year term as District 4 Regent, she was elected as ICD's Vice President in 2014. From January to December 2017, she led our section as its first female president, and then remained on the Executive Committee as immediate past president. In 2018, she continued her superb service to the college and the profession by serving as president of the USA Section Foundation until 2020. She continues to serve the ICD as a Section 1 International Counselor. She has served on and chaired multiple committees and has contributed greatly to the strategic planning process. Margot is the proof of the adage, good things come in small packages, and she continues to hold the record for being our shortest president. Congratulations. Our next Master Fellow is Dr. Charles Smith. The International Council approved him for Master Fellowship in 2021. Mr. President, Dr. Smith has been active in organized dentistry his entire career. He's a past president of the West Virginia Dental Association and served a 4-year term as trustee of the American Dental Association and also as an ADA Foundation trustee. He was inducted into ICD in 1997, and in 2011, he elected to serve as regent for District 6, where he has helped to lead and shape the organization. In 2015, Dr. Smith was elected to the role of vice president and moved up through the chairs, serving as our Section 1 president in 2017. After his term as the section's immediate past president ended in 2018, he went on to serve as the International Counsel for Section 1, a position he still holds. In addition, he serves as a trustee on the USA Section Foundation. He recently retired and moved to Costa Rica, where he would love to arrange for you a luxury vacation complete with world-class sport fishing. Congratulations, Chuck. Now, our next Master Fellow probably should have gotten this award years ago, but he kept getting elected to office that made him ineligible for the award so many times, we had to wait till now to give it to him. Secretary General Dr. Joe Keneally was approved for Master Fellowship by the International Council in 2022. This award is long overdue, as I said. Mr. President, Dr. Keneally was inducted into the ICD in 1995 and became Deputy Regent for Maine in 1997. The same year, he served as Vice President of the American Dental Association. He received the ICD Distinguished Deputy Award in 2002. Between 2006 and 2014, he served first as Vice Regent and then Regent for District 1. At the same time, he was an international counselor representing Section 1. Over the years, he chaired many worldwide committees, 11 USA Section committees, and was web pastor for the Section 1 website. I personally remember the first time I met him, he came to our board meeting trying to talk us into doing something called a website. And he was the only person in the room that brought a computer with him. We had to put in a requirement for regents at that time that they had to be able to do email to become a regent. So we've come a long way since then. He was president of the International College from 2014 to 2015. During his term, he traveled to 11 countries. He also served as president of the U.S. section in 2018. In September 2020, he was selected to be the Secretary General of the International College, where he now oversees its busy virtual operations, and is the only person in the history of the college that served all of those positions. These accomplishments are very impressive. I'm most impressed by the fact that he's the only dentist I know who has ridden in a golf cart with Tom Brady for 18 holes. Congratulations, Joe. Our next Master Fellow is Dr. Kisuchi, who was approved for Master Fellowship by the International Council in 2022. Mr. President, Dr. Kisuchi received his bachelor's degree in biology from Loyola University in Chicago, his DDS from Loyola University School of Dentistry, and has been practicing in Westchester, Illinois for 40 years. He was inducted into ICD in 1992 and has served continuously in various leadership roles since 1999. In fact, there have been several years when he has held 2 or 3 ICD elected positions simultaneously. He started his ICD leadership role as Deputy Regent for District 8 and then Vice Regent. He served as Regent twice from 2008 to 2011 and then finished the term of his successor in 2014 to 2015. He was a member of the USA Section Foundation Board of Trustees, and in 2016 he was elected to serve as USA Section Deputy Registrar, a position he holds to this day. Dr. Kisuchi has also served in multiple leadership positions in the International Council level, beginning in 2012 when he was selected as a counselor. In 2019, he was elected to the position of treasurer for the council and continues to hold that position. Keith is a man who knows how to get things done. We affectionately call him the Godfather. Congratulations, Keith. President-elect Freed, please continue with the induction ceremony.
Before we continue, I wish to express my deep appreciation to each regent, vice regent, and deputy regent. These hardworking men and women are the backbone of the USA sections, chapters, and districts, and you'll notice that we've recognized each of these wonderful individuals in the Convocation program. Fellows-elect, when the regent from your district asks you to come forward, please approach the inducting officers from the side to your right. As your name is announced by your regent, step up to the platform and walk up to our ICD Worldwide President, Dr. Dick Smith, to receive your college key. Then proceed across the stage to receive your membership plaque from the President of the USA ICD section, Dr. Risa Martin. Your family and friends are welcome to approach the stage and take pictures at any time. When all of your districts have been inducted, there will be a group photo taken to the left of the stage. As you exit the stage, a member of the Convocation Committee will direct you to the group photo area. After the photo is taken, you will return as a body to your seats. I ask the audience to withhold applause until all candidates from the district have received their keys and certificates. As a reminder to our audience, this event is being live streamed so that we can induct an additional 136 new fellows along with the 200 who are present with us today. The regents will call the names of those fellows who are being inducted virtually, just as if they were in this room, and you will see their pictures on the large screen seen on either side of the stage. Now I'd like to call our president, Dr. Risa Martin, back to the podium.
Will the fellows-elect please rise? Fellows-elect and honorary fellows, this should be an occasion long to remember. Each of you has distinguished yourself as an example of excellence in your profession. Through your outstanding leadership, devoted service, high ethical standards, you have brought honor to the profession, and in return, you have been selected by our members, deputy regents, vice regents, and officers to receive the distinct honor of fellowship in the International College of Dentists. After being formed in 1920, the International College of Dentists was incorporated in 1928. The organization was created for these purposes: to recognize ability, to promote ethical practice, to honor meritorious service. This is best summed up by the USA section's vision statement: to be the leading honorary dental organization serving others worldwide. In order that you may have a deeper appreciation of the honor now being conferred upon you, and in order that we may grasp more fully the aims, objectives, and purpose of the International College of Dentists, I direct your attention to Article 3 of its Constitution, which sets forth that the organization's specific purpose is to uphold the highest standard of professional competence and personal ethics, to recognize distinguished service to the profession and the public worldwide, to foster measures for the prevention and treatment of oral disease by encouraging and supporting humanitarian projects, to contribute to the advancement of the profession of dentistry by fostering the growth and diffusion of dental knowledge worldwide, to provide a universal forum for the cultivation of cordial relations within the profession, and to assist in preserving the highest perception of the profession. Then may I remind you of the fellowship pledge, which you are pledged to live in strict accordance with the ideals, rules, and regulations of the college, and at all times adhere to the principles of the Golden Rule in your relationships with your patients and colleagues. This occasion marks the arrival of a time in your life when recognition of your work and accomplishments is due. Fellow elects, your qualifications have been examined, and the Credentials Committee the Board of Regents, the counselors, and the Deputy Regents, and you have met or exceeded all requirements for fellowship. And now, by the authority of the Board of Regents and the power vested in me as President of the United States of America section of the International College of Dentists, it gives me great pleasure and distinct honor to confer upon you fellowship in the college. After you have been vested with your college key by the worldwide President Smith, I will present you with your fellowship plaque and extend to you the right hand of fellowship, which is an ancient and honorable sign of friendship, and thus extend to you the rights and the privileges of this college, wishing you continued health and success in your professional career. Under the guidance of God, we shall work together for the common purpose of alleviating human suffering. As we proceed with the induction, I wish to express my deep appreciation to each regent, vice regent, deputy regent, and sponsor. These men and women have diligently sought out each of you as deserving of the honor that you are receiving today. In short, they are sharing the honor that they too received in the past. Today, that responsibility and privilege will also become yours as well. I encourage each of you to recognize excellence in your colleagues and share this honor with other dentists that you know to be deserving of fellowship under the high and the lofty standards of ICD. We hope that you'll remember this day as a time when you were challenged even greater achievements. As Dr. Jonas Salk said, the reward for work well done is the opportunity to do more. We would encourage you as new fellows to continue to serve others as you participate in ICD events, activities, and service opportunities. You may now be seated. Officers, we are now ready to receive into fellowship in the college the fellows-elect here assembled. I will now ask our President-elect, Dr. Dan Freed, to return to the podium to present our Honorary Fellows.
This afternoon, we have the privilege of recognizing 8 candidates for Honorary Fellowship. These non-dentists have been selected by the Board of Regents for the special honor based on outstanding achievements or contributions toward the promotion of dentistry. The Convocation program you received contains more details about the contributions these men and women have made to our profession, and we are delighted to include them in our fellowship induction ceremony today. Will the Honorary Fellows please rise and come forward? President Martin, it is my pleasure to present to you our Honorary Fellows. Honorary Fellow Jennifer Banton. Madam President, Ms. Banton served her country in the Marine Corps until 2003, after which she searched for several years to find another way to serve others. In 2009, she attended her first Texas Dental Association Smiles Foundation community event and embraced their mission to deliver dental care to underserved neighbors in Texas and to present a positive face of dentistry to the state. She currently serves on the Board of Trustees of the Smiles Foundation, chairs their Access to Care Committee, and also runs the pediatric arm of the foundation, called Smart Smiles. Madam President, Ms. Jennifer Banton. Congratulations, Ms. Banton. Honorary Fellow Annette P. Drawdy. Madam President, Ms. Drawdy graduated from Louisiana State University with a BA in Mass Communication and a minor in Business Administration. She has worked at the Louisiana Dental Association since 2003, first as Director of Communications and Public Affairs, and then in 2011 as the Assistant Executive Director. She was promoted to the position of Executive Director in 2020, where she has been instrumental in developing the LDA's mission of promoting, advocating, and protecting the dental profession, and in the pursuit of keeping LDA strong and dentistry independent. Madam President, Ms. Annette Drawdy. Congratulations, Ms. Drawdy. Honorary Fellow Kylie Evans. Madam President, Ms. Evans joins the ICD USA Section Office and Foundation as a staff member in 2015. Since then, she has proven to be indispensable to the smooth running of the office. With a degree in media and website technology from the University of Maryland, and she has overseen all graphic design projects and website development, including playing a major role in implementing our new combined section and foundation website in 2019 and 2020. She is passionate and committed to her work, always going above and beyond to ensure everything is done according to the ICD's high standards. Madam President, Ms. Kylie Evans. Congratulations, Ms. Evans. Honorary Fellow Gregory Hill. Madam President, Mr. Hill graduated from Kansas State University with a Bachelor of Science degree in economics and then earned his law degree from the Washburn University School of Law. He served as the Executive Director and CEO of the Colorado Dental Association from 2014 until 2022. While there, he held leadership roles in both the Colorado Society of Association Executives and the American Society of Constituent Dental Executives. He also served on the boards of directors of the Dental Lifeline Network, Oral Health Net Colorado, and is a past member of the Colorado Mission of Mercy, COMOM. He was recognized as a Pierre Fauchard Honorary Fellow in 2018 and was also 2018 University of Colorado School of Dental Medicine Honorary Alumni. In July of this year, Mr. Hill was appointed as the Executive Director and CEO of the New York State Dental Association, one of the largest state constituents of the American Dental Association. Madam President, Mr. Gregory Hill. Congratulations, Mr. Hill. Honorary Fellow, Mr. David Kochman. Madam President, Mr. Kochman graduated from Emory University with a BA in philosophy and then received his jurisprudence degree from Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law in New York City. He currently serves as Vice President of Corporate Affairs and Deputy Chief of Staff at the Henry Schein Incorporated, a Fortune 500 company and the world's largest provider of solutions to office-based dental and medical practitioners. In that position, he is responsible for the company's corporate social responsibility, global professional relations, and government relations activities, as well as the management and administration of projects and initiatives originating from the office of the CEO. Madam President, Mr. David Kochman. Congratulations, Mr. Kaufman. Honorary Fellow Sylvia Ratchford. Madam President, Ms. Ratchford graduated from the University of Georgia with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in 1966. In 1966, she accepted the position of Executive Director of Hinman Dental Society, where her responsibilities include oversight of 55 meetings per year, one of which is the annual Thomas P. Hinman Dental Meeting. That annual meeting attracts some 21,000 dental professionals to Atlanta and continues to be highly respected by speakers, attendees, and exhibitors. During Ms. Ratchford's tenure as executive director, the Hinman Dental Society's membership has grown to over 800 dentists, and its fellowships and scholarships have contributed more than $10 million over 20 years in support of dental education. Madam President, Ms. Sylvia Ratchford. Congratulations, Ms. Ratchford. Honorary Fellow, Ms. Linda Shaffer, will be inducted posthumously. In 2007, Ms. Shaffer was hired as Executive Director of the San Antonio District Dental Society. Over the years, she upgraded the computer system, preserved SADDS history, and helped with the SADDS newsletter, a publication that received ICD Journalism Awards in 2013 and 2017. She was instrumental in founding the SADS program foundation, which benefited dental students and dental health programs, including the SADDS Smiles of Hope and student scholarships. Along with Dr. Risa Martin, Ms. Shaffer helped develop and then recruit for the Great Expectations mentoring program in 2008 at the University of Texas Health Science Center Dental School in San Antonio. She also helped organize the SADDS Smile of Hope program and many, many Texas Missions of Mercy in and around San Antonio. Honorary Fellow from Section 20, Ms. Chelsea, Honorary Fellow from Section 20, Ms. Chelsea Segrin. Madam President, Ms. Segrin graduated from Central Michigan University with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Journalism and Media Design. After graduation, she served in the U.S. AmeriCorps program as a communications disaster responder and with the American Red Cross, where she wrote press releases, taught disaster preparedness, and assisted victims of natural disasters. She came to work for the International College in 2012 and serves as the Director of Global Operations. In this role, she has helped to create the Worldwide Membership and Projects Database, the ICD Global Visionary Fund and its grant programs, as well as the Dental Safety and Understanding Antimicrobial Resistance Programs. Madam President, Ms. Chelsea Segrin. Madam President, I will now introduce the district regents who will call their fellows-elect forward. Regent from District 1, Dr. Elliot I. Paisner of Milton, New Hampshire. Dr. Paisner, will you please present the fellows-elect from your district?
Please rise. Please come forward. Madam President, it is my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the fellows-elect from District 1. Abdul Wahid, Quincy, Massachusetts, sponsored by Shinyan Paul Xiao. Virtually, Eric Block, Acton, Massachusetts, sponsored by Jason Portnoff. Virtually, Brian Donette Chandler, West Hartford, Connecticut, sponsored by David Freed. Ethan Chase, Boston, Massachusetts, sponsored by Celeste Kong. Maureen Colella, Boston, Massachusetts, sponsored by Pelly Chang. Michael Cooper, Whitensville, Massachusetts, sponsored by Richard Logarcio. Irana Dragon, Boston, Massachusetts, sponsored by Mary Jane Hanlon. Virtually, Brian Gaudette, Cranston, Rhode Island, sponsored by M. Christine Benoit. Mark William Hartzler, Gorham, New Hampshire, sponsored by Lindsay Jackson. Virtually, Diba Kashtwari, Newton, Massachusetts, sponsored by Celeste Kong. Heather Keeling, Portland, Maine, sponsored by Barry Saltz. Virtually, Jennifer Korzeb, Methuen, Massachusetts, sponsored by Janice Moriarty. Robert Kubaska, Woonsocket, Rhode Island, sponsored by David Ward. Gabriela La Greca, Boston, Massachusetts, sponsored by Janice Moriarty. Virtually, Paishi Liao, Boston, Massachusetts, sponsored by Alexander Bendayan. Virtually, Sheila Rodriguez Vamvas, Boston, Massachusetts, sponsored by Anna Cohane. Virtually, Joseo Sperati, Boston, Massachusetts, sponsored by Rebecca Pickens Siskel. Virtually, Greg Stepka, North Springfield, Rhode Island, sponsored by David Ward. Virtually, Priyadarshini Trika, Walpole, Massachusetts, sponsored by Rashmi Shah. Virtually, Hakan Trungsur, Boston, Massachusetts, sponsored by Rashmi Shah. Virtually, Peihua Wu, Winchester, Massachusetts, sponsored by Celeste Kong. Virtually, Amir Yavari, Boston, Massachusetts, sponsored by Rashmi Shah. Athanasios Zavras, Dover, Massachusetts, sponsored by Rashmi Shah. Virtually, Matthew Zizmore, Brookline, Massachusetts, sponsored by Rashmi Shah.
Regent from District 2, Dr. Laurel F. Medrano Saldana of Brooklyn, New York. Dr. Medrano Saldana, will you please present the fellows-elect from your district?
Thank you. Will the fellows-elect from District 2 please rise? Please come forward. Madam President, it is my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the fellows-elect from District 2. Virtually, Robert W. Burrs, Saratoga Springs, New York, sponsored by Michael R. Brawl. Christopher W. Calnon, Rochester, New York, sponsored by Richard F. Andolinia, Sr. Virtually, Anthony T. Cimino, New York, New York, sponsored by Richard Lawrence Rauch. Bernard Fialkov, Bayside, New York, sponsored by Rika C. Kehani. Rodney Fils-Aimé, New York, New York, sponsored by Richard Lawrence Rauch. Virtually, Raymond Flagello, Staten Island, New York, sponsored by James Joseph Sconso. Virtually, Dennis Foran, New York, New York, sponsored by Edward J. Miller. Virtually, Joseph Gambacorta, Buffalo, New York, sponsored by Kevin J. Hanley. Marcus Johnson, New York, New York, sponsored by Chandrupal P. Gehani. Virtually, Mark Cuny, Brooklyn, New York, sponsored by Lauro Medrano Saldana. Virtually, Sean W. McLaren, Rochester, New York, sponsored by Stephen Robert Borgard. Charles J. Mistretta, Staten Island, New York, sponsored by Ira R. Titunic. Virtually, Nathalie Mohajeri, New York, New York, sponsored by Lauro Medrano Saldaña. Roberto M. Rodriguez, Amawalk, New York, sponsored by Mary Ellen C. Lukaswitz. Esperanza Rodriguez McParland, Bronx, New York, sponsored by Mercedes Mota Martinez. Mitchell Sabak, New York, New York, sponsored by Richard Lawrence Rauch. Jose A. Santana Perez, Brooklyn, New York, sponsored by Lauro Medrano Saldaña. Virtually, Justin Steinberg, Elmsford, New York, sponsored by Stanley P. Freeman. Joseph A. Viola, Webster, New York, sponsored by Michael D. Grazzi.
Regent from District 3, Dr. Ronald Heyer of Westchester, Pennsylvania. Dr. Heyer, will you please present your fellows-elect from your district?
Will the fellows-elect from District 3 please rise? Please come forward. Madam President, it is my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the fellows-elect from District 3. Samantha R. Abad, Clark Summit, Pennsylvania. Sponsored by Matthew Anthony Zale. Dennis Morgan Fenton, Meadville, Pennsylvania. Sponsored by Stephen T. Raddick III. Hattie Gazzuli, Abington, Pennsylvania. Sponsored by Ronald K. Heyer. Virtually, Andrew Jeffers, Bedford, Pennsylvania. Sponsored by David A. Schimmel. Virtually, Caitlin A. Catherman, York, Pennsylvania. Sponsored by Ronald Walter Helminski. Jonathan C. Limbarakis, Abington, Pennsylvania. Sponsored by Carrie John Limbarakis. Darlene A. Oleski, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Sponsored by Linda K. Himmelberger. Todd Michael Schultz, Upper Holland, Pennsylvania. Sponsored by J. Michael Goldberg. Eric Shirley, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Sponsored by David Roy Larson. Bruce H. Spivak, Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Sponsored by Richard J. Cantor.
Vice Regent from District 4, Dr. George Thomas of Washington, D.C., is standing in for the District 4 Regent, Dr. Michael Conte. Dr. Thomas, will you please present the fellows-elect from your district?
Will the fellows-elect from District 4 please rise? Please come forward. Madam President, it is my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the fellows-elect from District 4. Virtually, Alfred Christian Anderson, United States Army, sponsored by Kendall Robert Moore. Virtually, Sana Pasha Augustus, Silver Spring, Maryland, sponsored by George P. Thomas. Latoya M. Barham, Arlington, Virginia, sponsored by Andrea Denise Jackson. Brittany Bashorn, Towson, Maryland, sponsored by Vanessa Benevan Anderson. Virtually, Lynn R. Chinchak, Timonium, Maryland, sponsored by Carl J. Zeren. Virtually, Gretchen Gibson, United States Department of Veterans Affairs, sponsored by David A. Stansing. Virtually, Robert Grill, Towson, Maryland, sponsored by Carl J. Zirin. Tuan C. Halkis, U.S. Navy, sponsored by Joyce Young Turner. Michelle L. Hamilton, United States Department of Veterans Affairs, sponsored by David A. Stancic. Cynthia Jeter, Woolwich, New Jersey, sponsored by Jill A. York. Virtually, Christine Lamar, United States Department of Veterans Affairs, sponsored by David A. Stancic. Cheryl Y. Lee, Washington, D.C., sponsored by John Thomas Daniels II. Virtually, Elizabeth M. Littman, United States Air Force, sponsored by Christopher J. Smith. Virtually, Richard A. McClure, United States Air Force, sponsored by Ender Sukri Ogul. Virtually, John G. Muller III, Catonsville, Maryland, sponsored by Vanessa Benevan Anderson. Virtually, Michael A. Mooney, United States Army, sponsored by Kendall Robert Mower. Virtually, Andrea M. Morgan, Silver Spring, Maryland, sponsored by Vanessa Benevan Anderson. Virtually, Eric Morse, Baltimore, Maryland, sponsored by Vanessa Benevan Anderson. Elizabeth Nunez, United States Department of Veterans Affairs, sponsored by David A. Stancic. Virtually, Iris B. Ortiz Gonzalez, United States Air Force, sponsored by Ender Sukri Ogul. Ame Patil, New York, New Jersey, sponsored by Ira R. Tichunik. Virtually, Jeffrey B. Price, Baltimore, Maryland, sponsored by Ahmad Sharif Sultan. Virtually, Deandra Prize Newbie, United States Air Force, sponsored by Ender Sukri Ogle. Kevin Dwayne Rasmussen, United States Air Force, sponsored by Christopher J. Smith. Reginald Salter, Washington, D.C., sponsored by George P. Thomas. Virtually, Natalie Scarpa Loda, Newark, New Jersey, sponsored by Michael Conte. Paul Shires, Towson, Maryland, sponsored by Carl J. Zeren. Virtually, Rachel Simon, Catonsville, Maryland, sponsored by Devin V. Schroff. Lisa H. Slade, Washington, D.C., sponsored by Andrea Denise Jackson. Virtually, Howard R. Strauss, Cumberland, Maryland, sponsored by Vanessa Benevan Anderson. Virtually, Nicholas D. Wilson, United States Army, sponsored by Byron E. Capps. Virtually, Dexter A. Woods, Washington, D.C., sponsored by George P. Thomas. Virtually, Philip D. Woods, United States Public Health Service, FDA, sponsored by Carol J. Wong. Virtually, D'Antonio Worrell, United States Army, sponsored by Jasmine De Guzman.
Regent from District 5, Dr. Bradley K. Greenway of Roswell, Georgia. Dr. Greenway, will you please present the fellows-elect from your district?
Fellows-elect from District 5, please rise. Please come forward. Madam President, it is my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the fellows-elect from District 5. Kelly Brummett, Duluth, Georgia, sponsored by David Warren Swan. Virtually, Gary E. Chike, Atlanta, Georgia, sponsored by Daniel T. Maeda. Carrie L. Miller, Auburn, Alabama, sponsored by James Jackson Phillips, Jr. Roberto Victor Piszczek, Robertsdale, Alabama, sponsored by Bruce E. Cunningham. Whitman Welch, Oxford, Alabama, sponsored by Bruce E. Cunningham.
Regents from District 6, Dr. Arnold S. Jacobson of Clayton, Missouri. Dr. Jacobson, will you please present the fellows-elect from your district?
Will the fellows-elect from District 6 please rise? Please come forward. Gay Bothman, Louisville, Kentucky, sponsored by M. Samantha Shaver. Ron Bell, Selmer, Tennessee, sponsored by David A. McGee. Virtually, Amanda Bustani, Charleston, West Virginia, sponsored by Michael L. Richardson. Andrew R. Bruning, Chesterfield, Missouri, sponsored by Craig Stephen Hollander. Virtually, Ashley Clark, Lexington, Kentucky, sponsored by Shelley L. Canada. Virtually, Brandon J. Crivello, St. Louis, Missouri, sponsored by Marcia L. Marden. O. Andy Elliott, Martin, Kentucky, sponsored by M. Samantha Shaver. Varan A. Farrow, Woodlawn, Tennessee, sponsored by Jennifer J. Cornell. Marie Farrar, Marie Fair, Chattanooga, Tennessee, sponsored by George Mitchell Baldry. Virtually, John C. Giselle, St. Louis, Missouri, sponsored by Robert E. Butler. Lance W. Godley, Kansas City, Missouri, sponsored by John William Nelson, Jr. Julie Ann Gray, Franklin, Tennessee, sponsored by Anthony Carioci. James C. Hawkins, Dyersburg, Tennessee, sponsored by David A. McGee. Virtually, Lawrence M. Hoffman, St. Louis, Missouri. Sponsored by Arnold S. Jacobson. Allison Jarrett, Charleston, West Virginia. Sponsored by Charles L. Smith. Virtually, William T. Kane, Dexter, Missouri. Sponsored by Herbert Paul Silva. Raj Kashatri, Nashville, Tennessee. Sponsored by John Michael Law. Michael J. O'Connell, St. Louis, Missouri. Sponsored by Michael Walter Noble. Carrie T. Simpson, Morgantown, West Virginia. Sponsored by Michael L. Richardson. Lorena M. Serber, Charleston, West Virginia. Sponsored by Diane Paletta. Anita Sykes Smith, Nolensville, Tennessee. Sponsored by Sheree M. Farmer Dixon. Mac A. Taylor, Dexter, Missouri. Sponsored by Jonathan Michael Copeland. Virtually, Edward Vaughn, Milan, Tennessee. Sponsored by John Campbell Williams. Virtually, Ronald D. Wilkerson, St. Louis, Missouri. Sponsored by Jonathan Michael Copeland. Virtually, Tiffany Elise Wilson, Nashville, Tennessee. Sponsored by Timothy Lewis Ricks.
Regent from District 7, Dr. Denise Herring of Reynoldsburg, Ohio. Dr. Herring, will you please present the fellows-elect from your district?
Will the fellows-elect from District 7 please rise? Please come forward. Madam President, it is my great pleasure and my honor to present for fellowship the fellows-elect from District 7. Virtually, Kristen J. Collard, Crown Point, Indiana, sponsored by Jean M. Ranieri. Binaz Leblebicioglu, Columbus, Ohio, sponsored by Fred Anthony Alger. John D. Mihailo, Columbus, Ohio, sponsored by Denise Leonard Herring. Ihor N. Zusko from Vermilion, Ohio, sponsored by Thomas A. Montanese. David L. Vorher, Cincinnati, Ohio, sponsored by Denise Leonard Herring.
Regent from District 8, Dr. Mary Starziak of Chicago, Illinois. Dr. Starziak, will you please present the fellows-elect from your district?
Will the fellow-elects from District 8 please rise? Please come forward. Madam President, it is my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the fellows-elect from District 8. Virtually, Joseph Akakar of Glenview, Illinois, sponsored by Susan B. Bishop. Gordon L. Barkley III of Peoria, Illinois, sponsored by Susan B. Bishop. Robin L. Gallardi of Chicago, Illinois, sponsored by D. Spencer Pope. Feng Gao of Downers Grove, Illinois, sponsored by Mary A. Starshak. Brett E. Gilbert of Niles, Illinois, sponsored by Rominder Kaur. Virtually, Harold John Herring Jr. of Downers Grove, Illinois, sponsored by Rebecca L. Pickens Sissel. Krista Hopp of Alton, Illinois, sponsored by Susan B. Bishop. David B. Lewis Jr. of Glenview, Illinois, sponsored by D. Spencer Pope. Kevin Wan Zin Lewin of Chicago, Illinois, sponsored by Denise D. Hale. Virtually, Jason Luchtefeld of Robinson, Illinois, sponsored by Robert L. Fraser, Jr. Vrishruti Patel of Plainfield, Illinois, sponsored by D. Spencer Pope. Sharice B. Thompson of Chicago, Illinois, sponsored by D. Spencer Pope.
Regent from District 9, Dr. Stephen R. Harris of Farmington Hills, Michigan. Dr. Harris, will you please present the fellows-elect from your district?
Will the fellows-elect from District 9 please rise? Please come forward. Madam President, it's my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the fellows-elect from District 9. Virtually, Darrell J. Pena Bainez, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, sponsored by Ned Murphy. Tammy Bowdry, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, sponsored by Karen A. Johnson. Eric Thomas Childs, Green Bay, Wisconsin, sponsored by Karen A. Johnson. Michelle C. Jergott, Shelby Township, Michigan, sponsored by Connie M. Verhagen. Nyla S. Farouk, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, sponsored by Susan H. Karen. Virtually, Margarita R. Fontana from Ann Arbor, Michigan, sponsored by Stephen Anthony Safaro. Jill Judy Gilhooly, Port Huron, Michigan, sponsored by her proud dad, Ralph M. Gilhooly. Veronica Ramirez Hamilton, Grand Rapids, Michigan, sponsored by Connie M. Verhagen. Gary Hendricks, Cumberland, Wisconsin, sponsored by Christopher D.K. Johnson. Virtually, Sandeep Kasana, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, sponsored by George W. Davison III. Virtually, James Mashney, East Lansing, Michigan, sponsored by Mark McHenry Johnston. Jason D. Mashney, East Lansing, Michigan, sponsored by Connie M. Verhagen. Hold on a second. Wait. Melanie E. Mayberry, Detroit, Michigan. Sponsored by Curlis Cornelius Colbert, Jr. Virtually, Luis A. Perez, Flint, Michigan. Sponsored by Stephen Anthony Sulfaro. Suzanne K. Port, Holland, Michigan. Sponsored by Connie M. Verhagen. Niraja Rasamswamy, Okemos, Michigan. Sponsored by Susan H. Karen. Virtually, John J. Ridlevich, Appleton, Wisconsin. Sponsored by Karen A. Johnson. James R. Stewart, Jr., Livonia, Michigan. Sponsored by Irene A. Sang.
Regent from District 11, Dr. Thomas B. Pollard of Portland, Oregon. Oops, excuse me, I skipped one. Tim will never forgive me. I owe him a drink. Regent from District 10, Dr. Timothy R. Langeth of Duluth, Minnesota. Dr. Langeth, will you please present the fellows-elect from your district?
Thank you, Dan. Will the fellows-elect from District 10 please rise? And please come forward. Madam President, it is my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the fellows-elect from District 10. Bradley Anderson, Fargo, North Dakota, sponsored by Edward Francis May. Stephanie Guy Groshella, Fargo, North Dakota, sponsored by William A. Hunter. Virtually, Michael J. Helgeson, Andover, Minnesota, sponsored by Lyubov Shlasheva. Virtually, Kirsten J. D. Langeth, Hector, Minnesota, sponsored by her proud father, Timothy Langeth. Deborah Leon, Rochester, Minnesota, sponsored by D. Spencer Pope. Roberto Moreno, Iowa City, Iowa, sponsored by Carol Moreno.
Regent from District 11, Dr. Thomas D. Pollard of Portland, Oregon. Dr. Pollard, will you please present the fellows-elect from your district?
Will the fellows from District 11 please rise? Please come forward. Madam President, it's my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the Fellows elect from District 11. Nathan A. Catmull, Rupert, Idaho, sponsored by Spencer J. Lloyd. Lisa Marie Egbert, Kenmore, Washington. Sponsored by Richard A. Krenze. Mark A. Egbert, Seattle, Washington. Sponsored by Richard A. Krenze. Stephen F. Nielsen, Shelley, Idaho. Sponsored by Kim B. Keller. Alan A. Yassen, Seattle, Washington. Sponsored by Marissa Natividad Bender. Congratulations.
Regent from District 12, Dr. Mark S. Cheney of Mandeville, Louisiana. Dr. Cheney, will you please present the fellows elect from your district?
Will the fellows from District 12 please rise? Please come forward. Madam President, it is my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the fellows elect from District 12. Kevin J. Collins, Metairie, Louisiana, sponsored by Christy Swallow. Susan R. Davis, Laverne, Oklahoma, sponsored by M. Edmund Braley. Virtually, Byron Ganesho, Metairie, Louisiana, sponsored by Vincent Louis Dillio, Jr. Jeffrey F. Herman, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, sponsored by Matthew E. Comelia. Scott Thomas Hubbard, Woodward, Oklahoma, sponsored by G. Franz Courier. T. Stotts Isbell, Mountain View, Arkansas, sponsored by John David Pitts. Virtually, Honor Kadiaglu, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, sponsored by G. Franz Courier. Jandra Meyer Korb, Veneta, Oklahoma, sponsored by Stephen Paul Meyer. Virtually, Keith R. Kyler, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, sponsored by Vincent Louis Dillio, Jr. Virtually, A.C. Lyles III, Covington, Louisiana, sponsored by John David DeGott. Virtually, Stephen McCullough, Yukon, Oklahoma, sponsored by G. Friends Courier. Nicole Ann Nellis, Tulsa, Oklahoma, sponsored by Christopher Paul Fagan. Virtually, Philip Justin Power, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, sponsored by G. Franz Courier. Lucinda Rabin, Wichita, Kansas, sponsored by Hal E. Hell. Virtually, Kyle Shannon, Tulsa, Oklahoma, sponsored by G. Franz Courier. Daniel R. Shea, Joplin, Missouri, sponsored by Christy Swallow.
Regent from District 13, Dr. Craig S. Yarbrough of Greenbrae, California. Dr. Yarbrough, will you please present your fellows-elect from your district?
Glad to. Will the fellows-elect from District 13 please rise? Super. Please come forward. I think all of California is joining us today. Madam President, it is my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the fellow-elects from District 13. Nima Aflatuni, Sacramento, California, sponsored by Donna Clauser. Virtually, Anirudha Agnahatri, Visalia, California, sponsored by Craig Yarborough. Virtually, Dean N. Ahmad, Roseville, California, sponsored by Wallace Bellamy. Pamela S. Alston, Oakland, California, sponsored by Elizabeth DeMichaelis. Virtually, Christine Nicole Altrock, San Diego, California, sponsored by Karen Irani. Virtually, Michael R. Zuman, Orange County, sponsored by Christy Swallow. Jacob Scott Barber, Modesto, California, sponsored by Elizabeth DeMichaelis. Imad Basali, Sherman Oaks, California, sponsored by Karen Irani. Karen Becerra Panagos, San Diego, California, sponsored by Tina Beck. Virtually, Yara Verdan, Los Angeles, California, sponsored by Dennis Tartakow. Matthew Robert Comfort, Roseville, California, sponsored by Wallace Bellamy. Virtually, Monica Crooks, Sacramento, California, sponsored by Elizabeth DeMichaelis. Virtually, Stephen C. Krausen, Chico, California, sponsored by Don Rolfson. Virtually, Dennis D. Tomasi, Clear Lake, California, sponsored by Craig Yarborough. Virtually, Nita Dixit, Los Angeles, California, sponsored by Karen Irani. Lisa Dobak, Sacramento, California, sponsored by Volkmar Falahi. Virtually, Lynn Marie Edwards, Burlingame, California, sponsored by Jean Creasy. Virtually, Brian Fab, San Diego, California, sponsored by Douglas Cassatt. Virtually, Navafati, San Jose, California, sponsored by Craig Yarborough. Virtually, Clark Filippi, Modesto, California, sponsored by Elizabeth DeMichaelis. Mazayar Galambor, Bakersfield, California, sponsored by Thomas Stewart. Virtually, Edward T. Graham, Stockton, California, sponsored by Lyndon Lowe. Gilbert Griot, Freedom, California, sponsored by Ronald Fritz. Virtually, Eric Grove, Sacramento, California, sponsored by Wallace Bellamy. Robert J. Hanlon, Jr., Escondido, California, sponsored by Doug Cassett. Valerie Harada, Culver City, California, sponsored by Alan Videns. Valerie's husband, Mark Hayashi, Playa del Rey, California, sponsored by Ken Harada. Virtually, Jagdev Hare, Sacramento, California, sponsored by Wallace Bellamy. Virtually, Tiffany Sue, Cupertino, California, sponsored by Stephanie Sandretti. Virtually, Kenneth Jacobs, Beverly Hills, California, sponsored by Karen Irani. Amir Kazim, Long Beach, California, sponsored by Donna Klauser. Virtually, Richard Kennedy Jr., Davis, California, sponsored by Don Rolfson. Virtually, David Kim, Long Beach, California, sponsored by Brian Hong. Howard Kim, Los Angeles, California, sponsored by Scott Kim. Virtually, Samuel Lee, Arcadia, California, sponsored by Charlene Queck. Virtually, William Lee, San Francisco, California, sponsored by Jeffrey Jang. Lawrence Lin, Los Angeles, California, sponsored by Kathleen Wang. Brack Lee Linscott, Atascadero, California, sponsored by Lynn Sarah Carstairs. Virtually, Ardash Malhotra, Bakersfield, California, sponsored by Thomas Stewart. Virtually, Yolanda Maingram, Petaluma, California, sponsored by Thomas Dembski. Max Martinez, Paramount, California, sponsored by Craig Yarborough. Afshin Mazdeaznan, Northridge, California, sponsored by Karen Irani. Gerald Middleton, Riverside, California, sponsored by Arthur Gage. Virtually, Isaac Navarro, Visalia, California, sponsored by Paul Asen. Viet Nguyen, Carlsbad, California, sponsored by Karen Irani. Daniel Ninen, Loma Linda, California, sponsored by Ronald Fritz. Ramin Nagrayan, Torrance, California, sponsored by Cheryl Goldasich. Philomena Abo, Van Nuys, California, sponsored by Karen Irani. Karthit Raghu Raman, Elk Grove, California, sponsored by Paul Asen. Virtually, Hannah Rashid, Roseville, California, sponsored by Wallace Bellamy. Gabrielle Rossi, Citrus Heights, California, sponsored by Don Rollison. Virtually, Mamali Rashad, Los Angeles, California, sponsored by Sadegh Namazakar. Virtually, Mohammed Rashad, Los Angeles, California, sponsored by Sadegh Namazakar. Blake William Scott, Fresno, California, sponsored by Paul Shao. Virtually, Nikki Sekhan, Sacramento, California, sponsored by Wallace Bellamy. Virtually, Saro Session, Torrance, California, sponsored by Cheryl Goldasich. Virtually, Arazu Moghadam, Pacific Palisades, California, sponsored by Sadegh Namazakar. Ashu Sharma, Tracy, California, sponsored by Craig Yarborough. Virtually, Susan Soderstrom, San Francisco, California, sponsored by Gail Dufala. Jeffrey Sue, Folsom, California, sponsored by Wallace Bellamy. Scott Anthony Tangeman, Bakersfield, California, sponsored by Thomas Stewart. Virtually, Christina Thompson, Encinitas, California, sponsored by Jose Alamo. Virtually, Michael Tiller, San Francisco, California, sponsored by Craig Yarborough. Brian Turani, Huntington Beach, California, sponsored by Paul Asen. One in every crowd. Ash Vasanthan, Sacramento, California, sponsored by Wallace Bellamy. Virtually, Penelope Zenudi, Sacramento, California, sponsored by Wai Ming Chan. Last, but certainly not least, Justin Young, San Francisco, California, sponsored by Cynthia Bradazani.
Will the regent from District 14, Dr. Karen D. Foster of Greenwood Village, Colorado. Dr. Coster, will you please present the fellows-elect from your district?
Will the fellows-elect from District 14 please rise? Please come forward. Madam President, it is my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the fellows-elect from District 14. Virtually, George Blue Spruce Jr., Surprise, Arizona, sponsored by Stephen Geierman. Joseph R. Cohen, Scottsdale, Arizona, sponsored by Asfar Aftab Sadeki. Lindsay Compton, Arvada, Colorado, sponsored by Michael Diorio. Brett Damron, Phoenix, Arizona, sponsored by Brian Poley. Virtually, Jason W. Eaton, Phoenix, Arizona, sponsored by William Bruck-Vogel. Virtually, Tricia Hansen, Cheyenne, Wyoming, sponsored by Dr. David O'Connell. Amy L. Martinez, Alamosa, Colorado, sponsored by Stephanie Kaufman. Virtually, Colette Masalamoni, Yuma, Arizona, sponsored by Ron Fritz. Ryan Craig Moffitt, Draper, Utah, sponsored by William Carroll. Virtually, Kevin Patterson, Denver, Colorado, sponsored by Michael Scheidt. Jessica Brayton Peterkin, Phoenix, Arizona, sponsored by Victoria Griego. Jessica Robertson, Flagstaff, Arizona, sponsored by Brian Poley. Virtually, Kelly Hollingsworth Riles, Santa Fe, New Mexico, sponsored by David Manzanares. Amisha Singh, Denver, Colorado, sponsored by Ken Peters. Larissa Skeen, Salt Lake City, Utah, sponsored by Glenn Zeh.
With the Regent from District 15, Dr. J.C. Adkins of Lubbock, Texas. Dr. Adkins, will you please present the fellows-elect from your district?
Will the fellows from District 15 please rise and come forward? Madam President, it is my distinct pleasure and honor to present for fellowship these fellows-elect from District 15. J. Michael Adame, Edinburgh, Texas, sponsored by Jose Luis Cazares. Virtually, Tayaba S. Ahmad, Dallas, Texas, sponsored by Zoheb Ahmad. Nancy L. Andre, Waco, Texas, sponsored by Gustav E. Gates. Virtually, Justin D. Bonner, Abilene, Texas, sponsored by David M. Bonner. Virtually, Reagan Bonner, Dumas, Texas, sponsored by David M. Bonner. Virtually, Stephen W. Boyles, Midland, Texas, sponsored by Partha Mukherjee. George Ryle Buckley, Houston, Texas, sponsored by Gregory O'Keefe. Charles E. Campbell, Deer Park, Texas, sponsored by Shelley Canada. Virtually, Vincent Cavaretta III, Austin, Texas, sponsored by J. Cavan Kelp. Dave Collins, Houston, Texas, sponsored by Karen Elise Walters. William J. Cruz, San Antonio, Texas, sponsored by Richard Michael Potter. Virtually, Aaron Kelsey Edmondson, San Antonio, Texas, sponsored by Akshay Thusu. J. E. Elliott, Houston, Texas, sponsored by Jeffrey Brian Gino. Virtually, Stephanie R. Ganter, Dallas, Texas, sponsored by Wade Ryan Barker. Virtually, Ricardo Garcia, McAllen, Texas, sponsored by Jose Luis Cazares. Ronald J. Garza, Dallas, Texas, sponsored by Jose Luis Cazares. Nazgo Garby, Austin, Texas, sponsored by Zohini Dar. Adam Harkrider, Bernie, Texas, sponsored by Charles E. Rader. Harold K. Hoozle, Houston, Texas, sponsored by Donna G. Miller. Elizabeth Hunsaker, Houston, Texas, sponsored by Karen Elise Walters. Jonathan James, Harlingen, Texas, sponsored by Jose Luis Cazares. Virtually, Jason L. Jolivet, Temple, Texas, sponsored by Gustav E. Gates. Dean Peter Michael Loomer, San Antonio, Texas, sponsored by Moshag Faroki. Virtually, Robert G. McNeil, Dallas, Texas, sponsored by Larry Herwig. My Tram Win, Houston, Texas, sponsored by Dat Patrick Diop. Tu Tui Tai Win, Houston, Texas, sponsored by Huang Win Lei. Kathy L. O'Keefe, Houston, Texas, sponsored by Karen Elise Walters. Luis Ortiz Quiles, Austin, Texas, sponsored by Ann Lyon. Jose Perales III, Edinburgh, Texas, sponsored by Jose Luis Cazares. Carol L. Price, Houston, Texas, sponsored by Karen Elise Walters. Virtually, Marlon Robles Moreno, San Antonio, Texas, sponsored by Martha G. Brackett. Tyrone F. Rodriguez, San Antonio, Texas, sponsored by Julio Rodriguez. Sausan Salih, Lufkin, Texas, sponsored by Siddhartha Chandruptia. Adam C. Schisler, Houston, Texas, sponsored by Rita Camarada. Virtually, Abazar Siddiqui, Stafford, Texas, sponsored by Zoheb Ahmed. Satpreet Singh, El Paso, Texas, sponsored by Zohini Dar. R. Max Sneed, Jr., Fort Worth, Texas, sponsored by Donna G. Miller. Scott Stafford, San Antonio, Texas, sponsored by David M. Bonner. Katie E. Stuklik, Houston, Texas, sponsored by Jose Luis Cazares. Akshay Thusu, San Antonio, Texas, sponsored by James S. Bone. Virtually, John C. Tulasi, Mount Pleasant, Texas, sponsored by Zishan Raja. Melissa Uhuregas, McAllen, Texas, sponsored by Jose Luis Cazares. Virtually, Manisha Walia, Irving, Texas, sponsored by Zishan Raja. Jose Zacharias, McAllen, Texas, sponsored by Jose Luis Cazares. Catherine Zambucas, Austin, Texas, sponsored by Jonathan Ryan Kimes.
Regent from District 16, Dr. Mark A. Crabtree from Martinsville, Virginia. Dr. Crabtree.
Will the fellows-elect from District 16 please rise? Please come forward. Madam President, it is my pleasure and honor to present for fellowship the fellows-elect from District 16. Virtually, Erica A. D. Anderson, Arlington, Virginia, sponsored by Justin Ray Norbo. Zachary A. Bryan, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, sponsored by Stephen Patrick Geierman. Tadasha Culbreth, Alexandria, Virginia, sponsored by Wallace Bellamy. Virtually, Roland K. Fulcher, Summerfield, South Carolina, sponsored by Megan E. Finkbein Griffin. Daniel W. Hall, Williamson, South Carolina, sponsored by Mark A. Crabtree. Zanita T. Hamlin, Virginia Beach, Virginia, sponsored by Akshay Tusu. Virtually, George A. Jacobs, Newport News, Virginia, sponsored by Michael Joseph Link. Jitendra Jaitwani, Richmond, Virginia, sponsored by Jack Rishnan Kakanar. Virtually, Mark Clive, Black Mountains, North Carolina, sponsored by David Susan Swan. Melanie Love, Falls Church, Virginia, sponsored by Brenda J. Young. Virtually, Karen McPherson, Charleston, South Carolina, sponsored by Monica Johnson Coyote. Edward T. Murphy, Charleston, South Carolina, sponsored by Megan E. Finkbein Griffin. Gary L. Myers, Richmond, Virginia, sponsored by Clara Marie Spadafori. Virtually, Mike Myers, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, sponsored by Megan E. Finkbein Griffin. Nicholas A. Papadilla, Pawleys Island, South Carolina, sponsored by John C. Camisi. Ang H. Pham, Leesburg, Virginia. Sponsored by Dot Patrick Folkzap. Todd Rutledge Sander, Charleston, South Carolina. Sponsored by David Warren Swan. David Wayne Stafford, Martinsville, Virginia. Sponsored by Mark A. Crabtree.
Deputy from Region District 17, Dr. M. Riza Iranimash of Tampa, Florida, is standing in for the District 17 Regent, Dr. Rodrigo Romano. Your district.
My pleasure. Will the fellows elected from the District 17 please rise? Please come forward. Madam President, it's my pleasure and honor to present for the fellowship the fellows-elect from the District 17. Reza Azari, Jacksonville, Florida, sponsored by M. Reza Iranmanish. Virtually, Sudanshu Desai, Cape Coral, Florida, sponsored by Reza Iranmanish. Nidal S. Elias, Jacksonville, Florida, sponsored by M. Reza Iranmanish. Virtually, Bezal Paul Gabriel, Boca Raton, Florida, sponsored by Jason E. Portnoff. Simon M. Gatats, West Palm Beach, Florida, sponsored by Roy E. Mortman. Virtually, Nicholas E. Goetz, Delaware Beach, Florida, sponsored by John R. Pasquale. Reese Harrison, Inlet Beach, Florida, sponsored by Jeffrey C. Otley. Leanne Keogh, Ocala, Florida, sponsored by M. Reza Iranmanish. Virtually, Oscar Menendez, Palm Harbor, Florida, sponsored by M. Reza Iranmanish. Stephen Thomas Prez, Clearwater, Florida, sponsored by M. Reza Iranmanish. Cecile White, Jr., Atlantic Beach, Florida, sponsored by Eva F. Ackley. Stephen J. Zuknick, Brandon, Florida, sponsored by Beatrice E. Terry. Thank you.
Each of you new fellows has our heartiest congratulations. We welcome you, and this completes the induction ceremony. We wish to extend our warmest thanks to Dr. T. Bob Davis, our pianist. Thanks also go to fellow Matt Palmer and his wife, Julie, from Norfolk, Virginia, their committee members and spouses whose annual contributions to our arrangements for the Convocation are most deeply appreciated. My appreciation is also extended to our ushers, all of whom are past presidents of the USA section. This concludes this afternoon's ceremonies. As a reminder, you're cordially invited to be presented to all fellows tonight at the Fiesta celebration starting at 6 p.m. in the Imperial Ballroom. New fellows, please be sure to wear your key tonight so we can identify and honor you at the celebration. We are now adjourned until 6 p.m. A photographer will be available immediately after the ceremony to take any personal or group pictures. A photographer will also be available tonight for your convenience. Now, will the guests please remain seated during the recessional of the official party? Thank you.